Last time on Maximum Carnage here at Comicstorian, Spider-Man was with his past foes to try and take out the serial killer that is Carnage. With the help of Reed Richards' experiment of a sonic blaster and Firestar, the good guys had Carnage on the ropes and they were faced with a decision. Should they kill Carnage or not? Spider-Man stuck to his morals and he stopped Firestar before she could make a grave mistake and take her first life. And because of that, Carnage came back stronger than ever, and now this whole situation has been brought to the attention of the star-spangled hero himself, Captain America. The Maximum Carnage storyline is a 90s Spider-Man storyline, so this is a very old one, based on the video game that many of us know from our childhood. This does not tie into the current event known as Absolute Carnage, but I thought it was a great time to bring this storyline to you, and today, we're going to be concluding it. If you're wondering where you are, this is the Comicstorian channel, where we take some of your favorite trade paperbacks and single issues, we take the video games and movies and various storylines, and we break down your favorite pop culture universe into a digestible bite, turning it into an audio drama so that you can enjoy the storyline as you go. And today we are bringing you the end of Maximum Carnage, issues 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and if you want to know how we got here, then go check out the playlist down below. While Carnage's carnival of chaos terrorizes the streets of New York with Venom in tow, Spider-Man and Firestar go with Captain America to the Avengers headquarters. Firestar watches, stating that the whole island is exploding with violence. What are they going to do? Cap looks closely at the wreckage and says that there's no pattern to their madness. We're going to need to work on a positive approach to this. And just then, the monitor phases out and an image of Deathlock appears. Cap grits his teeth, stating, "Looks like someone is trying to access our classified files." Spider-Man hops on the keyboard and isolates Deathlock's access. He then looks further into it and backtraces the connection. The second monitor shows Iron Fist. Cap asks, "What exactly are you trying to do here?" And Deathlock says, "We're trying to find anything on the butchers that tore through the city." Iron Fist then says, "We lost track of them when we went to repair Deathlock's body, and we wanted to avoid any further delays." Cap sighs, "I don't condone your rogue methods, but your determination and resources could prove helpful under the circumstances." Spider-Man webs out the window, stating, "That sounds good. We'll rendezvous in 5. But right now, I gotta go check in at home and make sure everything's okay." But while Black Cat, Morbius, and Cloak attempt to handle Carrion, Demogoblin, and Doppelganger over at the Statue of Liberty, Venom finds himself in hot water. He's hanging chained over a burning fire, with Carnage saying that it would seem that our guest is uncomfortable. Shriek! Venom struggles to try and free himself, but Shriek says that maybe they should bring him down a notch. He's probably catching a cold without his bodysuit. She can amplify Venom's agony right back at him, and the sound burst will tear his alien parasite to shreds. Carnage tells her, "Not so fast! This blood belongs to me!" Meanwhile, over in Soho, Mary Jane puts out another cigarette, worrying about what kind of news she's going to get, when suddenly a hand reaches out for her. She screams, seeing Spider-Man, and shouts, asking how could he do that to her? How could he keep doing this over and over? How can he keep doing this to himself over and over? Spider-Man says that he just wanted to stop by and tell her that he loves her and how much he needs her. Mary Jane tells him that it's not that simple anymore. She can't continue to condone his constant exposure to danger but that's when the radio goes off and the host reports how the riots have gotten worse and there is currently a hostage situation going on. Back on the streets, the charge against the villains turns into a desperate struggle as the heroes are slowly beginning to lose their strength. Black Cat gives it her all to kick Doppelganger, but with her focus turned away, Carrion reaches out and grabs Morbius. Morbius screams as his power is being sapped, and Cloak says, "The vampire is hurt, but he will survive." Black Cat calls out to him, telling him, "Get him out of here while I keep the bloodhounds at bay." As she leaps into the air, Doppelganger strikes her from behind, with Demogoblin following up with a hit from the front. Nightwatch looks down, stating despite the potential dangers of his cursed costume, he can't stand by and allow a woman to be brutally beaten to death. He swoops in, grabbing the unconscious Black Cat, removing her from the fight, leaving Morbius and Cloak to fend for themselves. Morbius lunges at Demogoblin, shouting Black Cat's sacrifice will not be in vain. Nightwatch then comes back, telling him that the feline female will live, but her allies are outnumbered, so Nightwatch changes all the odds. Meanwhile, over at the overrun police station, the officers position themselves outside, shouting to the inmates that they need to give up. But on the inside, one of the inmates hears a noise, and when they go to check on it, Spider-Man's hanging upside down, telling them, "Hello, I heard some people needed a wall of webbing." The inmates open fire, but Spider-Man jumps, avoiding the bullets and hitting several of the inmates at once. All of the inmates then surround Spider-Man, and they begin to knock him back, and he quickly webs them all up, telling them, "Well, that's just plain rude. At least the good guys won this battle." But the bad guys are winning the war. And what Spider-Man is thinking can't be any more true because with the help of Nightwatch, the heroes are losing the battle. Each hero is struggling with their villain, with Morbius stating that they must change their strategy to suit their strengths. Cloak then shifts to Carrion while Nightwatch handles Demogoblin, and Morbius focuses on Doppelganger, with the villains quickly seeing that they are now no match for their new opponents. Nightwatch says that it appears that they are fleeing, but Morbius chases after them shouting, "My vengeance must be sated!" Nightwatch follows behind Morbius, but Cloak stays behind to help Black Cat recover. Black Cat gets up, telling them that it's obvious that they're outgunned from the very beginning, and she's done playing punching bag. She's gonna go home and lick these wounds and seriously rethink her career options. But back at the Avengers headquarters, Deathlock and Iron Fist arrive, and Cap reminds them that revenge is not our motivation here. Our first priority is to the victims of this mushrooming chaos. Iron Fist tells them that is the common bond that draws us all together. Spider-Man then swings down, stating, "Now that we all have something we can agree on, let's go out and tame a wild city." As the team moves out, Iron Fist looks out saying that this city is gripped in madness and the only way to stop it is to locate the source. But after a short while, Firestar flies up ahead, telling them that she's pretty sure she just found the source of the insanity. Over on a nearby building, Shriek influences the unruly mob and everyone hones their attacks on her. Firestar then tells everyone to remember, "We're here to incapacitate." Shriek says that she's impressed with the big words. Not! As she turns her attention to Firestar, Deathlock and Iron Fist jump down from a glider, surprising Shriek. She spins, firing her blast upward, telling the two of them to just back off. She then whips another blast at Spider-Man, saying that he can back off too, bug guy! You're gonna have to be sneakier than that! And just then, a whirling sound can be heard, and a loud thapang as Captain America's shield knocks her in the back. Firestar yells good one, and Cap tells her, "You can thank teamwork for this one. We're just lucky that she was alone." Spider-Man pauses for a moment and says that brings up a burning question. Where the heck is Carnage? Back at Lady Liberty, Carnage sits atop Venom, telling him that this is the best seat in the house. Ha! We can see every wild and wacky antic of the Carnage kids from up here. But man, I really wish that there was some popcorn. Nightwatch punches Demogoblin away, and that's when he feels the presence of Carrion coming his way. He lashes up from behind while Doppelganger grabs Morbius and gets ready to throw him at the statue. Nightwatch then quickly grabs a hold of Demogoblin and throws him into Doppelganger, causing him to release Morbius. With Morbius knocked out, Nightwatch grabs a hold of him, telling him, "We both need to leave if we're going to survive." And Carnage shouts, "What a bunch of whips! Next time I'll do it myself!" Demogoblin says that perhaps if he did join, but Carnage cuts him off, shouting, "Shut up! Why don't you boys go find Mama and let Papa get back to work?" Over in Manhattan, the riots are continuing to break out. Just as a man gets ready to break a window, he sees the reflection of Captain America behind him, and he drops the brick, telling Cap, I'm sorry? Across the street, a group of thugs corner a woman, telling her that she is just their type to party with. The woman yells that she'd like to see them try, and that's when a light shines down on them. Firestar tells them that they need to stop and see what they've become. The men pause and state that she's right. "What are we doing? Can you ever forgive us?" The woman tells them yes, she can. As everyone helps restore the citizens' sanity, Spider-Man spots a woman holding her child over a ledge. She screams that these lousy rugrats take every minute that she has, and all they've given her is dirty diapers and stretch marks. Spider-Man climbs up yelling at her to wait, so she turns back and says, "I don't care who!" "Spider-Man?" One of the children yells, "Spider-Man!" And the woman begins to cry, saying Bobby loves to play him all the time. He's so cute, crawling up the chairs, using yarn for webbing. My God, what did I almost do? Thank you, Spider-Man. Spider-Man thinks to himself that this is why he does what he does. Mary Jane was wrong. This is worth putting his life in risk for. Saving people is his job. Down on the street, Shriek struggles to free herself from Spider-Man's webbing when Demogoblin and Doppelganger appear to rescue her. She yells, "I'm free!" And Cap calls out, "Not for long, you won't be." She tells him that she thinks the time for talking is way over. And the villains quickly begin to get the upper hand again, but as Shriek is watching, a bottle is thrown at her. The citizens all shout, asking, how could she bring out the worst in them like that? Spider-Man and the others have showed us the truth. We're good people. You tricked us. As the mob surrounds Shriek, she says that this won't do at all. They think that they're dealing with some freaked out bimbo? They're all dead wrong. I have been psychically transmitting rage and hatred, bringing out the baser instincts in people. Some might say it comes naturally. They didn't even have to think about it. But when I make a conscious effort to touch people's minds, you better believe I can crank it up big time. She jumps into the air, projecting her influence back into the people with a blinding light, and yells, "It's party time, boys and girls!" And you all know what that means. The mob quickly turns their attention back to Spider-Man and the others, shouting, "Yes, we have to kill them all!" But meanwhile, back at the Statue of Liberty, Venom continues to hang over the fire, and he begs Carnage not to hurt anyone anymore. Carnage tells him, "Boy, Pop sure is pathetic. I can keep this up for days, weeks, torture him until he's even more of a whimpering wreck than he already is." He slices through Venom's stomach, telling him, "But I got a better idea. How about we use this sonic blaster on you like you did me?" Venom yells, "Please, not that!" But Carnage cackles as he pulls the trigger. But instead of blasting the symbiote away, it starts to spray more onto him. Carnage asks, "What is this?" And Venom breaks his chain, telling him, "Venom is free!" "That's what's going on, Carnage. While you were distracted with our performance, we sent a piece of ourselves into that gun and sabotaged it." He leaps over, cracking Carnage in the face, and he escapes, telling him, "We need to recover strength before we can continue fighting. But once we have, as our dear father used to say, son, I brought you into this world, and I can take you out." Carnage screams, "Now! I was winning! I was winning!" Meanwhile, over in the streets, Shriek watches the riot spread, and then says that when she was a little girl, she was always tormented and abused by the people that she trusted most. She was never allowed to be upset. She just smiled and tried to be good so that they'd love her, so that they'd stop hurting her. But it never stopped. Now the heroes will get a taste of that. Why weren't the heroes there to save her, huh? All she needs to do now is just give them one little push. Shriek then jumps off of Doppelganger, saying that they need to find themselves a safer perch. And yes, afterwards, we're gonna kill some more of them. But we have to wait until Daddy gets home because we are a family after all. Firestar tries to keep the mob contained, telling herself that she has to believe in Spider-Man. She can't swoop to the villain's levels. What Spider-Man said is true. There's got to be another way. And as the crowd surround Iron Fist, he steps back and begins to meditate. He quietly stands there looking at the people, and soon the people stop. And just then, someone from behind begins to shout, "Get him!" The man lunges at Iron Fist, but as he pushes him back, he yells, "They just keep coming! There's only so much of this sickness a man can take. I've had it. I've had it with all of you!" But before Iron Fist could swing, Spider-Man swings down, grabbing him, telling him, "We all have. But taking these people apart isn't gonna help anyone. They're getting a chance to breathe." Iron Fist tells him that he's right. He almost lost control there. And Spider-Man tells him, "It's okay. We're all feeling Shriek's psychotic vibes. But that was a nice attempt. How'd you manage to stop those people?" Iron Fist says that it was a meditation technique that he learned while in Kunlun. One reaches down into the calm center of the soul, and you not only affect yourself. Spider-Man asks if there's any way that he could teach him that, and Iron Fist tells him sure, but it's just gonna take you about 8 to 10 years of training. As Iron Fist leaves, Spider-Man punches the wall, calling out hopelessness. What my father said was right. Fight fire with fire. Elsewhere, Cloak is finding the opposite to be true, as he's been lost in the darkness of his own for so long. But the truth is, he was never alone. It's also at that time that Spider-Man realizes something himself. His dad isn't right. Across the way, Shriek looks down, saying it's time to go. These heroes haven't got a chance. And it's just then that Carnage wraps his tendrils around her throat, telling her, "Not so fast! Hubby is home, and I'm not very happy! How dare you go on a murdering spree without my permission? No wife of mine will have her own career! I ought to kill you here and now!" Suddenly, Carnage feels a razor webbing around his neck, and Doppelganger pulls him off, screaming. Carnage looks back, asking, "Oh, is this how it's gonna be? My little boy is revolting! Well, if that's what you want, who is father to argue?" He pierces through Doppelganger with his fingers, with Shriek shouting to let him go. But while Carnage beats on Doppelganger, Spider-Man calls out, "Hang on, I want to join the party." However, the mob was safely evacuated. Hope you guys aren't mad. Carnage then tells Shriek that their marital squabbles will have to wait. For now, how about we eviscerate these yo-yos, then fly the family to Disney World? Just as the two sides are about to clash, a voice calls out that their darkness will not spread beyond this point, for their time has come to face the light. Everyone turns to see Cloak, but they're shocked to see Dagger running towards them. Everyone stares into Dagger's light, and they all stop dead in their tracks, awestruck, overwhelmed by a sight that they can only call miraculous. Shriek yells, "No, it can't be you! I killed you!" And Spider-Man tells her, please don't take this the wrong way or anything. I'm really happy to see you, Dagger, but Shriek's right. She killed you. What are you doing here? Dagger tells everyone that Shriek's attack somehow caused her light powers to feed back, consume her, and transform her. She literally became the light. The energy was too much for her to contain and she exploded, and her very essence unraveled. Another few seconds and she would have been dead. Less than dead, scattered forever into the winds. But she managed to find refuge within Cloak. She drew her fragmented consciousness into his cape. It was only with her deep connection to Cloak, the love that binds them, that kept her sane and gave her the strength to hang on. Shriek screams, no! I was there! It was horrible! Nothing could have saved you! And Carrion reaches out. Mother, please, don't upset yourself like this. Shriek shakes his hand off and blasts him away, shouting, I am not your mother! As for Dagger, I killed you once and I'll do it again. As the Carnage family begins to get up to try to help, Carnage tells them, take it easy. Mommy Dearest has been acting like she can do just fine without her hubby. How about we sit back and see if she's the woman she thinks she is? Dagger begins to emit light, telling Shriek that she knows the feeling. Her life was nothing but struggle, loveless, lonely, full of abuse, so horrible that she can hardly remember it. So she cocooned herself in blind darkness, and she's been living it so long that she thought she was darkness. Shriek yells, no one will ever hurt her again. She will hurt them first. Do you hear that? But Dagger kneels down, wrapping Shriek in the light, telling her, yes, but now it is time for you to hear me. Moments pass and the light begins to fade, with Shriek asking, I'm forgiven? After everything I've done? And Dagger tells her that the light can heal. The light can bring her out of darkness, but it can't be done alone. She has to want it. Shriek begins to cry, but her despair quickly turns to anger and she blasts Dagger away. Spider-Man jumps up to catch her, and as they come down, he tells her that he just wanted her to know, you're my hero. Dagger says that she failed, and Spider-Man sets her down, telling her, no, you didn't. You proved we can win this, Dagger. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. Carnage picks up Shriek, asking, how are you feeling? I was getting a little worried there, as if you were going to switch sides. Shriek shakes her head, telling him no. She won't be fooled by her. She's been lied to one too many times. Carnage spins back, shouting, there it is! We are one happy, dysfunctional family again, which means that we can go massacre. What? Carnage looks at the empty street, asking, did they run? But then Spider-Man calls out, no, not everyone. Everyone else may have thought that you were too much to handle, but Spider-Man's no quitter. Maybe this is the way it should be. Me alone against the four of you. After all, I'm the one who stopped you before, and I'm the one who's gonna do it again. Spider-Man jumps in swinging, but only after getting in a few hits, the odds quickly turn against him. Carnage turns his arm into a giant spike and he stabs it into the side of Spider-Man as he's trying to get away. In that moment, the others begin their attacks. Spider-Man falls to his knees, thinking about everyone back at home. He maintains his focus as Shriek tries to fill his head with rage, and just as Spider-Man grounds himself, Shriek is hit from behind by a large blast. Spider-Man struggles to get back up, telling them, sure took you guys long enough. If anyone replied, it was lost in the wine of the extraordinary device attached to Deathlock's circuitry. The scientists at the nearby Rand Corporation, where it was created, called it the Alpha Magni Illuminizer. Spider-Man, though, being the one who sent everyone away, would like it to be known as the Good Bomb. Deathlock bathes the villains in a glow of the laser. This was only possible after seeing the strength Iron Fist showed with the violent crowd and the compassion that Dagger showed at talking to Shriek. The device is so strong that even Carrion was cured of the Carrion virus, reverting him back to Malcolm McBride. Demo Goblin tries to flee, but a web shot to the back quickly thwarts that. Carnage shouts for them to stop, but Shriek tells him that it won't hurt if he just stops struggling against it. Can't he feel it? This device is our chance to be saved, our salvation. She reaches out, taking Carnage's hand, and together they can find. But before he does, there's a loud fracathoom! And as that smoke clears, everyone checks on the villains. They all seem to have lived, except Carnage. Spider-Man says that this wasn't supposed to happen. The whole point was to save him, and instead we killed him. Cap tells him, no, Carnage's resistance is what killed him. Just as you were willing to die for your ideals, Carnage in his own way was willing to do the same. So, Spider-Man heads to Central Park to watch the sunset and process everything that just happened. It would seem that his father is right, that people like Uncle Ben and Aunt May were right to have faith in people. But with this over, it's time to get his webbed butt back into gear. But before Spider-Man can even finish his thought, Venom shouts, Carnage belonged to us! We wanted to rip his heart out! You cheated us! Venom tries to lunge forward at Spider-Man, but still recovering from his wounds before he stumbles. He then yells, "We didn't need help! All we wanted was Carnage! But you stole him!" And just then, something begins to rise out of the water, and a voice calls out, "Oh, isn't that sweet? You miss me! Well, don't cry, Daddy dearest, 'cause your sonny boy is alive!" Spider-Man quickly jumps out of the way as the two charge at each other. And Spider-Man thinks to himself, did Carnage fake his death? The only way that he could have done that would have been to cover one of his victims in a mock symbiote suit. Carnage tackles into Venom, and as he tries to tear Venom's head off, Venom rips the symbiote from Carnage's face. He kicks him off, telling him, "We're gonna strip every layer of your skin off until we find the twisted twig that you call a backbone." Carnage jumps to his feet, leaping away with Venom shouting, "Where are you going?" Spider-Man jumps in trying to stop Venom, but Venom swings back, hitting Spider-Man's shattered ribs, telling him, "We have had enough of you! No innocent life is safe while Cassidy breathes." A short while later, over at Rikers Island prison complex, a man sitting in his cell smokes a cigarette, when suddenly Carnage bursts in asking, "What are you doing in my cell? This is where it all began. If only I had a shiv to stick into Eddie Brock when I had a chance, none of this would be happening." Venom swings it, kicking him, telling him, "But you didn't." As Carnage is knocked back, he fires off spines at a security guard, and Venom quickly jumps in to take the hit. The guard pauses for a moment, and then realizes, "Wait, you're Venom. Aren't you supposed to be bad?" Venom pops the spines out, telling him, "We're the victim of outrageous lies and vicious gossip." After escaping the prison, Carnage returns to the St. Estes home for the boys to find a safe haven. But there, too, he is haunted by the ghosts of the bullies that he killed. The ghosts laugh, telling him that he's an embarrassment, that they were embarrassed to be murdered by someone who's a gutless crybaby. Another ghost says, "Yeah, straighten up, jerk. Thought you enjoyed the killing game. Who's got you sweating bullets? What's his name?" And Carnage quietly says, "Venom." And the ghost tells him, "Say it louder." So Carnage repeats himself, "Venom!" And Venom bursts in, telling him, "I'm at your service. Mashed brains and scrambled face are our specialty." Carnage tries to fight back against Venom, but he overpowers him with each and every hit. And as he looms over Carnage's body, he asks, "How do you want to die? Rip out your lungs or just twist your head loose?" But before he could do anything, Spider-Man swings in, kicking Venom from behind, telling him, "How about we leave that up to the authorities, Eddie?" Venom lashes back at him. "You do not interfere! Carnage must die! Nothing else matters!" Spider-Man tells him, "I understand, but there's a different way. We can..." Uh-oh. Venom looks back and shouts, "Carnage is gone! It'll be on your hands if Carnage spills more blood." Later, over at the cemetery, Carnage looks over the graves, asking, "Where is she? Where is your old mom?" And as he starts to shovel, Spider-Man jumps down with Venom, stating, "Way to go, sicko! Your mind is so fried you're digging up your old greatest hits!" Carnage throws his arms out to swing, and as he pulls back, he grabs Venom by the face. So Spider-Man quickly webs up his eyes in hopes of releasing Venom, but just as Carnage's grip loosens, Venom punches him off. Venom tells him, "Thanks, Spider-Man, but your part's over. Go get some coffee or something. This is gonna be short, sweet, and oh so painful." Spider-Man shouts, "Don't do it! Even Cassidy deserves better than being murdered. You cannot sink to his level." "We most certainly can, and we will love every second of it." Venom hits Carnage again, but as his body falls short of the generators, Venom laughs, telling him, "We also did it." He begins to choke Carnage, but Spider-Man jumps between them, shouting, "Just back off! Too many people have died already! One more won't solve anything!" Carnage turns his arm into a giant blade, and he charges at Spider-Man. "This is it, Spider! Can't let Venom take me without taking you for the road!" But just before the blade could stab Spider-Man, Black Cat kicks Carnage away, telling him the only one hitting the road is a certain crimson-clad maniac. Spider-Man gets back up, telling her that he didn't expect to see her, and Black Cat says that she's supposed to have 9 lives, right? Figured I got a few to spare. Carnage runs back up, grabbing a coffin, telling them all, "This place is getting a little crowded. Gonna snag Mommy here and But Venom punches Carnage so hard that he drops the coffin, and then Venom tells him, "As much as we have thoroughly enjoyed this, we're not gonna let you stay alive." Venom punches again and then asks, "Is Spider-Man right? Are you just an object of hatred or pity? Tell me now, are you worthy of vengeance or protection?" Carnage gets up, shaking his head, telling him, "That sure did it. Helped clear out the cobwebs. Now I'm thinking clear as ever." Venom throws himself onto Carnage, telling him, "We have no choice then. We have to act before you do." And Carnage shouts, "Slow down! Any further and we're gonna accidentally hit them!" But as Venom lands on the generators, he says, "No, this isn't an accident." The generators explode into a fiery blast, leaving Spider-Man and Black Cat to just watch. Spider-Man scans the area and sees the body of Cletus Cassidy without Carnage on him. Black Cat stops and says that she doesn't see any traces of Venom's body, so there's a chance that he's alive. And a short distance away, Venom sits on a truck heading into town, telling himself that he's not sure about this. It was Spider-Man's idea. Let him worry about it now. He's real good at that sort of thing. As Captain America and the other Avengers show up, they secure Carnage, and Black Cat looks over and notices that Carnage's mother's coffin was empty. And Spider-Man says, the old empty coffin trick, huh? Wonder what Cassidy was planning. Maybe he didn't leave enough of his mother's body to bury. Either way, with a guy like him, there's no guarantee to a logical explanation. Black Cat then watches as Carnage is taken away and says that it's funny. Even though he's in the Avengers' custody, she's not sure she can ever truly feel safe. Monsters like him have a way of returning. Spider-Man tells her that she needs to have a little faith. Believe it or not, some monsters stay dead and buried forever, and their ghosts can't haunt you unless you allow them. I hope. And that concludes Maximum Carnage. Now, there's not much of an overall plot to this storyline, simply a lot of guys fighting over and over and over. And the reason for that is simple. It's based on an old school 90s game, but we all loved Maximum Carnage as kids. It's just a beat 'em up with Venom and Spider-Man and Black Cat going out there and beating up everyone. So they're trying to save Carnage and all that other stuff. But what did you think of the actual storyline for Maximum Carnage now that you've seen the whole thing? Do you think it was good? Do you think it did the game justice? Do you think that we could have just never done this and it would have been fine? Either way, it's still a classic tale for Carnage, well-known title, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you want to get more Spider-Man, Deadpool, Batman, Superman, subscribe to the channel right here at Comicstorian. We try to bring you daily comic book content right here, and you can easily get it by subscribing and turning that bell on to get a notification. You can also follow me on Twitter at Comicstorian, and you can join us over at our Patreon, Comicstorian, to get early access to all of these videos. Regardless of what you do, thank you for spending your time watching this video. I appreciate your support, and if you didn't watch this, we wouldn't even have jobs doing this, so thank you so much. I'll see you next time right here.